Because I wondered the prisoners, were they all like,
I hated him.
I was gonna ask,
Hated him.
I didn't know if they were like Chinese people like that were like in the Forbidden City, or if they were like actually like, outside the city people that you know
Well, like if some of them were people that were his former servants, and
the
he
eunuchs and
slapped
stuff.
around his entire life, and then this
Yeah.
is the final time you could get some prison justice. But yeah.
Cricket! Cricket! Where's the cricket?
Ah, he is my friend, Your Majesty. Safe and warm under my arm. Kept me company on the long journey here. Ah, see? He is kowtowing to Your Majesty. Now he can be the Emperor's cricket.
Fun story. And the winner is, and the Academy, along with the Oscar this year, is giving out a green card. The winner is Bernardo Bertolucci for The Last Emperor.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Chicago Cinephiles podcast. I am your co-host, Daniel. Joining with me, as always, is James and Steven. How are we doing today?
We're doing good. How about you, James?
Feeling like I'm in a forbidden city.
Well
Because you
said.
are, Blanche. You are in the Forbidden City.
Well said, my friend. Well said. Well, for those of you who are new here, welcome. And those who are coming back, welcome back. This is the Chicago Cinephiles podcast, a podcast where we discuss movies, primarily Oscar winners, and we determine if they should have won or not. This week we had the wheel choose for us, and it chose The Last Emperor, which is the 1987 movie that won in 1988. So we're going to discuss that today. Before we get into that, I want to give a shout out to one of our comments that we had last week for our Nomadland episode. So if you haven't watched that, please go back and give it a watch. The Lions Roar 5142, thank you for commenting, said that Nomadland by far the best movie made on self-discovery. So we appreciate that. I like that comment. That's a good way to look at it. So thank you so much for commenting on that. If you would like to have your comment shouted out next week, please comment on this below and tell us know your thoughts of The Last Emperor. So without any ado, let's go ahead and hop right into it. So The Last Emperor, as I mentioned, was the 1988 Oscar winner, released in November of 1987. It is essentially a taking away from the autobiography of Puyi from 1964. And it does star John, I think it's Lone, this Puyi, Joan Chen, who is Juan Rong, and Peter O'Toole, who is Reginald Johnston, who's the tutor. And then, so it had a budget of about $24 million. However, it did gross about 45 million. So I'm pretty sure I know why it was why it had the expensive budget, but we will obviously get that in just a few minutes. Give me just a second. So it did obviously win the best picture. It also did win best director and best screenplay as well. So it did have pretty good critical review coming out as well. And so yeah, because we had talked last week where we were kind of concerned this might be a problematic movie, just kind of given that it's in English and but which we'll get into later. I actually was pleasantly surprised. So. But yeah, so with that being said, Stephen, why don't you go ahead and do the very difficult challenge of giving us a summary of this movie, and then we'll take it from there.
I love when you call it difficult because that makes me feel so much better about, all the effort I put into it.
Very
So thank you.
challenging. No, seriously.
Oh, exactly. Oh, it's horrible, horrible. I mean, the people, how people in Forbidden City couldn't do this. So, The Last Emperor is an epic film that spans 6 decades of Chinese history, chronicling the turbulent life of Asen Zhiro Puyi, the eponymous last emperor of China. Crowned at age 3 in 1908, Puyi is raised in isolation within the grandeur of the Forbidden City, leading a sheltered existence of immense privilege, but unable to leave until he is expelled from the palace and exiled in 1924 following the Beijing coup. The film uses Puyi's life as a prism to reflect the profound changes affecting China throughout the first half of the 20th century, from his abdication and exile and his puppet rule of Manchukuo, I think I got that right, for the Japanese during World War II, to his capture by the Soviets and his imprisonment by the Chinese Communist Party, with flashbacks juxtaposing scenes of his lavish imperial past with the harsh realities of his re-education in a communist prison. The Last Emperor offers breathtaking visuals that capture a society reeling from the collision of imperial tradition and revolutionary change.
Wow.
Ta-da.
Fantastic. No, seriously, good job, Steven. That was great.
Oh.
So let's go ahead. For those you don't know, we talk about what was going on during that time period, during the years. Maybe that reflected what was, why this movie won. There wasn't a ton going on this year in '87.
I noticed that too. I looked it up as well.
It was a lot of which I mean, still like obviously major events like like a plane crash stuff, but it's not things like you're gonna remember like in the world, But I like how Steven had to like check up on my facts to make sure I wasn't missing anything.
I was like, what?
So in June, Reagan challenged Gorbachev to tear down the wall.
Tear down this wall.
In August, this is kind of interesting, and it kind of ties in, which is pretty cool. In August, Rudolf Hess dies, who was Mustache Man's last living henchman. October, I know Steven can speak more on this. Baby Jessica was recovered from a well. Tell us about that, like the fiasco of that.
Let's just say the world stopped turning. Like everybody on the planet. Have you heard about Baby Jessica? Baby Jessica, Baby Jessica, for like days. No one could talk about anything else. And when she was pulled out, thank the Lord, we can start regular programming again on television. I mean, it was everywhere. Everybody talked about Baby Jessica. It was. There is nothing that could compare. Maybe the Eras tour from Taylor Swift. Maybe that is as big. But every single human being was talking about it. Everybody.
I don't know. Wouldn't you say like the O.J. Simpson trial or what was the JonBenet Ramsey murder? Like in that kind of, to me, that like I remember that as a kid sweeping up the nation.
Oh, yeah.
Was that not on the same level?
We're all hoping and praying.
And I guess you didn't have like live like feeds, so you had to wait for the news to come that night or whatever to find out if they had any updates, right?
I think this is right after we got CNN, right?
Okay.
So we were fine. Yeah. We were getting a lot of live updates. So yeah, but that was CNN was making a lot of money out of Baby Jessica, get your Baby Jessica pins here, get your Baby Jessica,
Baby Jessica, if you're watching, you can come on next week and we will interview you.
She is Woman Jessica now. Thank you very much.
She's baby in my heart. Also in October, we have Black Monday, which is the largest ever one-day crash of the stock market. So not a ton going on that year, but obviously those are, some things that happened. Now let's move on to the fun facts. So this is a section where we do the fun facts and the trivia. I hope there's some good ones this week because I feel like there should be, because this is a pretty interesting storyline. But fellas, give me some facts that will make my hair stand on the back of my head. I don't know. Give me some good facts.
Go for it, James. What do you got?
So I actually think the fun facts are probably more like the making of this movie is probably more interesting than the movie itself, because they had 6 months access to the Forbidden City where they could film, shoot, do whatever they want. Like a company later on only got like 6 hours. Like,
wow,
that was filmed. So like, and this is like the first movie since 1949 that the Chinese government actually cooperated with Hollywood to make this movie.
Wow.
Like all of the like craziness that they had to go in the back scene to make this happen, because it was filmed in the Forbidden City.
Yeah.
And this movie, when it was filming, Queen Elizabeth II actually visited, and she was told that she couldn't do it because they were filming the movie. So Queen Elizabeth, this movie was more important than Queen Elizabeth II to the Chinese government for the shooting of this film.
Now, if it'd been Diana, let her in. but no, it was
I mean,
I mean, come on. Let's just say it.
Do we think
so
No, sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, I was going to say something that's not related to the facts, but I do want to bring that back up about China actually being like proud of this because it's kind of sort of like an what's the word ironic that they're proud of this because it's like they are now communists. So it's just interesting. We'll get to that later. Steven, did you have any fun facts, or is that pretty? Like I think James, you're right. You nailed on the head. The most important, the fun fact is just the fact that they were so open to let Western people come in, basically.
Oh yeah. I mean, there were 19,000 extras in the course of the film. It was really interesting. I mean, the thing that I found interesting was how some things in the actual history of Puyi weren't sort of reflected in the film, but they came about. Like, for instance, with the eunuchs, when the eunuchs burned down this place where they had all the goods, when it was cleared, Puyi built a tennis court, which he loved at that point.
Which is where he got captured, basically.
Exactly.
Oh, that's irony.
Isn't it though? After the great earthquake in 1923 destroyed a lot of the cities of Tokyo, Puyi donated a jade antiques worth like 33,000 whatever it is to pay for disaster relief, which led a delegation of Japanese diplomats to visit the Forbidden City to express their thanks. And the diplomats noted that Puyi was highly vain and malleable and could be used by Japan.
Wow.
Which marked the beginning of their interest in it. Like,
interesting.
He's doing a nice thing, and this sort of led
no good deed.
Sort of taking exactly. And it's just there were a lot of little things like that made me go. And the movie apparently really downplayed or didn't play it down at all. His he was really kind of a sadist with his eunuchs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
you got a little taste of that when he told them to drink the liquid, but like, it's problematic.
Like,
and you kind of can, no, I agree. Yeah, it's like, and part of that too is like, I'm not saying it's right. Part of that's like, you're 3 years old and you're the emperor. Like, I don't think your brain develops like a normal person like ours would. I'm not saying it's right, obviously, but and I feel like their culture, they've probably been taught that like eunuchs don't. Maybe eunuchs are similar to how 1800s people viewed slavery. You know what I mean? Like where it's just these people aren't really people.
When at 3 years old, I can do whatever I want. Okay, let's test that.
I do have to laugh. Like I shouldn't laugh at this, but the scene where the one guy runs out with the box, which I assume has his nuts in it, and he runs, and he's like, they can't get into heaven without their full body. And then they all like bow to him. I'm like, that to me, that's just like, there's a lot of husbands out there that have that same box somewhere locked up. So it's just, with their wife, their wife has, metaphorically.
Thank the Lord it's attached. If it came unattached, I'll take that. Thank you very much.
Right.
No.
Don't ask Lorena Bobbitt anything, okay?
and apparently, Bernardo Bertolucci talked at length to Sean Connery to play the role of Reginald Johnston. And Connery ended up convincing him he shouldn't play it, which is interesting because then Connery was up for The Untouchables. So would he have gotten this? Who knows? Who knows? But it's the same year. But I thought it was really interesting. And
then correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Peter O'Toole like a very famous? Like, wasn't he a very famous actor before that, or am I just crazy? Or am I thinking somebody? I thought so. Yeah.
And he also has a double phallic name, just to let you know. That's
right, because he's in Lawrence of Arabia.
Get your head out of the gutter.
That's right, because he's Lawrence of Arabia. That's right. Like I knew him. I was like, I knew that name. I couldn't figure out where I knew him from.
Yeah, I mean, he's quite has a little bit of everything. Lion in Winter, My Favorite Year, that kind of thing.
I really liked his character, honestly.
Yeah,
I know that may be crazy, but I enjoyed it. Alrighty.
And I know we'll talk about that a little later on, but yeah, I have some things to say about his character as well.
Yeah, let's move on then. So let's just hop into the discussion. So this is a movie that none of us had seen before. So this is another one of those rare moments where we get to see, kind of a fresh perspective. Any thoughts that we had? I'll go first. My only thoughts were I was mistaken. I thought this was a movie that I had heard on other podcasts say it was, very, detrimental to how they portrayed Chinese people, which obviously ended up not being true. But they were I just had it mixed up. I just assumed, with it being a Western movie, they all spoke English. And I didn't know if they were going to be like stereotypical, Chinese actors or whatever. And so, but for the most part, I felt like they did a pretty good. Like it didn't. I appreciate they did it in English. I mean, I'll be honest with you, just because I don't want to read subtitles for 3 hours. But I also wouldn't have hated they did it, and if they actually hired like Chinese speaking actors that did it. You know what I mean? So like I could see both, honestly. What were y'all's initial thoughts? Anything that came to mind before we hopped in?
I really didn't know anything really much about. I mean, I knew it won the Oscar, but I just knew nothing about the film other than maybe the cinematography and the visuals, which is stunning throughout the film.
Yeah.
But I really didn't have any kind of an idea what the film was about, other than it was about the last emperor. Duh. But What about you, James?
I was kind of on a slimmer track. Like I knew I knew a very high level of the history of the last emperor, but like how that translates to the movie, I have no idea. I just hope the Forbidden City would be in this movie, and we got that.
Oh wow!
'Cause it was actually filmed on location, so got to see it.
Yeah, let's lead into that. Like to me, it was a really eye opening look into the Forbidden City. It's something I don't really think about. I don't like. It's not like Rome, where this was stats like every 4 hours a typical male thinks about Rome or whatever. I don't
It's the Roman Empire, not Rome, the city. It's
like
the Roman Empire.
fair. Like you got me there. Like I don't think about the Forbidden City that much. Obviously, I know it exists. But yeah, I thought it was just really cool. It actually made me want to do more research on it, and I've watched some YouTube videos since then of seeing what it looks like today and all that kind of stuff. And I thought it was just really neat that they filmed it on location. They could have probably done it in a back lot and saved $20 million probably. But what were y'all's thoughts on the Forbidden City, the filming locations in general? Like, kind of what were y'all's? Let's just talk about the set, because we don't get to do that very often. Like the only other one we've done it for was the Great Ziegfeld. You know what I mean? We don't really get to do we don't really talk. Well, I guess Ben Hur. We don't talk about the set that much. Where we so I think it's really cool that we get to actually like talk about location. What were y'all's thoughts on it?
I thought it was stunning. I think that's to me, what made it an Oscar-winning film. It is just the cinematography, the visuals are incredible. Just seeing, the actual and the costumes and the hair and the whole everything that goes into it. It is just so beautifully done, and in stark contrast to the Chinese communist prison, which is so dark and gray. It was I just loved it. I think that's what makes this film sort of an Oscar winner, quite frankly.
Which is kind of crazy when you think about it. Like if you told me, hey, a movie's gonna win based off of the cinematography, like to me that would come off a little bit like shallow. It's like, oh, okay, so you're telling me the best, so Michael Bay's gonna win every award because he makes the most explosions. You know what I mean? Like
exactly. How many gas stations were gonna blow up?
Yeah. But James, what about you? What do you think?
Well, the crazy thing is sorry, that most of these are like museums now, and they were just gallivanting around, like the later place where he was in exile, like, well, not exile, but the second palace or whatever. And that's a museum. You can go to it in China, and like kind of want to go to all these places.
Same.
But like I've always had kind of a little bit of fascination about the Forbidden City, and just seeing it in a movie where I think this is one of the very few movies, including Chinese productions, where they had this kind of access and were able to film. So, like, it was so cool to see.
100%.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
there's some where I forget who says it, but who was saying that it feels almost, it said something like it's almost bourgeois to love a film just for the visuals. But that's what this movie has in spades. I mean, it's just, over and over and over. You're just looking at these amazing.
And then that what movies are. I mean, like you
Oh,
using
that's
your
true.
using your eyes versus radio. You know what I mean? Like this would. I agree. This would be nothing. Like I would never read this book, listen to this on a radio. Like this would not be anything I would. But yeah, the visuals were
Had the
stunning.
eyes of the whole world, and they had the ears of the world too. It's very very Sunset Boulevard. But the visuals are just amazing, and like you're saying, it's not a back lot, which you kind of, even if you don't know, you know,
Yeah, I didn't know, but I assumed just based off everything I saw.
exactly.
Just imagine, that scene where he'd like, I don't know if he was trying to escape, but like he's just on top of the forbidden wall
Oh
of that
yeah,
ceiling and just like, and they're trying to grab him to bring him in, like shooting that in the forbidden city. Like, oh, so crazy. But
yeah, and like you'd be scared like to not break something, like because the Chinese government are probably not very forgiving in that regard.
Stand over there.
I'm not gonna lie, I'd be tempted to steal something. I'll just say it. I'll
Where's the
start.
cricket?
I'll start World War III. Yeah, give me that cricket.
and Daniel is now under surveillance.
Yep. Good thing we're on YouTube and not not TikTok because So one thing obviously like I think to me I think this is true because we're all Westerners here. I think for me I gravitated towards the Tudor Johnston because I'm a Westerner. And so, like, how do you think he influenced Puyi's life and even the Forbidden City? Like, how do you think? What do you like? What do you guys think? Like, if Johnson never showed up, what would have happened? Do you think?
Well, historically speaking, it seems it was Johnston who insisted that that Puyi go to Japan as opposed to Britain when he was exiled, because he believed that Japan would, because they had an emperor or had an emperor as well, would be more likely to sort of accept him, respect him than the British government.
Mm.
So it sort of put him on a bad path. You'd think it would be just the opposite, but not so much. And he did sort of open Puyi up to sort of, you know, challenging, his place, his status as this person who can't leave the city for good or for bad. I don't know. What do y'all think?
So like the way that he is portrayed in this movie, I think makes him gives him a little off the hook. Like
Yeah, yeah.
he was not a good individual. Like he got a little off the hook. Now, did he look out for the emperor? Yes.
Hmm.
Was it for his own selfish reasons? Yes. I know he personally believed that monarchy was better than republics and
Hmm.
that you should push for monarchy and that monarchy was superior. So like obviously a Scot coming from UK, but
Hmm.
um so
Yeah.
I don't know. I have a hard time with a lot of these characters because I feel like this movie gives them a break too much and what they did. Like it's not an accurate reflection on who they were
Yeah.
as an individual. Like I know like
Well,
movies
I'm
do
okay
that
with
all the
that.
time.
Yeah, I'm okay with that though. That doesn't
Uh,
bother me because you have to like you need to like some of them. Like it's one of those things. And like, what does it bring
yeah,
to the table if they portray Johnson as being more of a pushy guy or something? Like, it's still the end result still is the same.
It's true. True.
My thing, but with him is that I think he influenced his life. So I don't think so. If you want to be like real with this, it didn't matter if he was educated by a Westerner or not. At the end of the day, he was going to get exiled.
Hmm.
Obviously, he didn't know that at the time because he didn't. We can't predict the future, so we didn't know what the world, what World War II and World War One was going to portray. So, in theory, he didn't really do anything to help it to better him because at the end of the day, he would end up being an outcast anyway. I do think though that Johnston being there, and maybe this is the movie portrayal. I can't speak on the actual fact. I'm just going off what the movie did. I think it made him a little more real world susceptible, and so he was
Yeah.
able
true.
to adjust more to not being the emperor, being told no, being a puppet emperor. Like, I think he was able to kind of like, have a life outside the Forbidden City, as opposed to him being sheltered. Because, like, to me, my example I would give is like, this is a very bad example, but I think it's funny. It's like, when the Amish turn a certain age, they're allowed to go to the city and do what they want for a couple of months or whatever. I feel like Johnston's kind of that guy. He shows up and helps him kind of like, hey, there's more out there than just this. Is this what you want? And ultimately he chose, obviously be the emperor because that's what his job was, but the world didn't give him that choice at the end of the day.
No. That's very true.
Which is wild to me. Like, it's still like, I know there's still emperors today, I'm sure, but like, it's just wild to me that like we were in the 1900s and there was an emperor that couldn't leave his his city. I mean, like, for like a better word, like, I mean, I know it's kind of like the Pope in a way, but it's like, that's insane. Like, to me, that's just, you don't realize we're not that far away from things like that happening. You know what I mean? Like the tradition of like eunuchs and all that kind of stuff. Like, we're not that far away from that. It's just kind of fascinating when you think about it. It was less than, well, I guess technically he took over when he was 3. It was over 100 years ago, but like it was about 100 years ago when he was an adult and stuff. It's just kind of fascinating to me anyway.
Yeah. Especially here in in America, I forgot, we're such a young country. It's
right.
How many emperors do they? And how long? So I agree. It's sort of we're not very far off from that, and we may not be far off again. Who knows?
Well, I think the movie that kind of like traded like, but he didn't realize he had no power anymore. That he was just a figurehead. Like, I think that did a good show. And then like I can't believe they just didn't tell him. Like, by the way, the revolution happened. Here's the deal we struck for you. Your regent signed over, you abdicated, but like you think they'd give him a heads up. Like, why keep that from him?
I mean, you're also talking about the guy who, was trying to get milk from his mom at like 10 years old. So I don't know how much I would.
Oh, yeah,
I checked. That was his wet nurse.
It was okay.
So, which doesn't make it any better.
Because it was weird. Okay, thank you for checking on that. Because we talked to me.
But if you walk to some cafe and there's a woman nursing a 14-year-old, you'd be like, yeah,
it's out. Steven, you mean 124 months old?
It's for the baby.
This is my 124-month-old. So then, like, how does kind of going on, with progression of his life is, how does the film portray the Japanese occupation of, I think it's Manchuria is how you pronounce it, and Puyi's role as a puppet emperor? I don't think I don't know. I think to me, maybe I just wasn't paying attention fully, but until they said puppet emperor, I didn't really understand what they were using him for. Maybe that's just me being dumb or me being, but like, I don't think they did a great job of portraying it at first, in my opinion. What did y'all think?
I mean, I pretty much picked up on when they were saying, you have to sign this, you have to do this, and then sort of pushing him, and he would fight back, but
well, I didn't know that he was going to be able to keep his title. I thought it was more of like a surrender, like a treaty type situation.
I see. I mean, what do you think?
Well, I think in the movie it kind of did that poorly with that whole Japanese occupation. But
yeah, it was just kind of
it was like a footnote. Like, it's like, I don't know.
BT dubs.
It felt weird.
I felt like Steven. Wait, how did we get here? He was just working at Amazon. Now he's
now she's here.
Like, I feel like it kind of skipped over the whole part of why he went there in the first place.
I agree.
Like, the Japanese used him as, quote unquote, a ruler. Now, in real life, he wasn't actually given the title of emperor. It took him a couple years for the Japanese government to give that to him until he was trusted as a yes man. But I feel like it kind of glossed all over that, and like in the re-education scenes, like kind of.
I got the sense that he was doing anything to go back to getting his power. You know what I mean?
100%.
Just whatever is going to get me back into that chair. Which is funny because when he had it, I want to get out of here. Well, actually,
that works.
It was really nice.
But to be fair, James, I'm going to say something you said earlier. if he had no power already, couldn't he just have stayed where he was and been happy? Like, why did he? It's like if he hadn't, like, isn't ignorance bliss? Like, if he had no power, like, shouldn't he just shouldn't like Japan just have been like, yeah, you can be the emperor, but not like wink wink type deal? Which I mean, they kind of did, but make it more obvious where it's like, yeah, we'll give you all your stuff back here. We'll leave your little 30 square mile whatever area alone, and we'll just take everything else until we're ready to take that part too.
Or like, why didn't they just forge his signature and stuff? Like, I don't understand that either. But like,
yeah, it's just like, why not just like, because he wouldn't know.
He needed to publicly say stuff. Like, I mean, like, they received the Vatican, who will go to anyone, and like, what was it? Venezuela, not Venezuela,
Costa Rica,
some Latin American country, Costa Rica. Like I guess he was useful for that, but like, they were just
Batavia,
and like, he was such an idiot. He is. Yeah. He was such an idiot. Like
but he wanted to believe. He wanted to believe what he wanted to believe.
Mm-hmm.
And I like just no river in Egypt. He was like, I can do this, and I'll get back there.
I mean, I feel like this movie is like basic. Well, we can bring on this later, but like, it's not a lie if you believe it. Like he lied through his teeth so much just to stay alive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. I don't like this person.
But then at the very end, when he sort of takes, I'm not sure I haven't done the historical searching yet, but he takes responsibility for things that he had no hand in.
Yeah,
which I thought was very.
Whenever he's gardening, whenever he says like you didn't. Yeah, James. Whenever gardening at the end, and the governor says like you weren't part of this. And he's like, I was the emperor. I represented them.
Yeah, and that to me was sort of a step forward.
Did he say that just to get out of prison, though? To say that he's rehabilitated? Like, I think this man was just a.
I don't think so, because he wouldn't have wrote. I don't think he would have wrote an autobiography about it, and I think he would have left it out if he didn't feel that way.
I took it as that if he said that, it was going to keep him there longer, as opposed to denying it. But maybe it's the opposite way. I took it that he was just taking responsibility for everything, and
so he can,
because people were saying, well, why are you doing this? It's because it's just going to keep you here, as opposed to, which then he gets released. Plus his standing up at the very end of the film, to the leader of his group being the dunce cap. I mean, that says a lot about his character as well.
I think so too, because he didn't have to do that. He could have easily just slipped in the shadows and not acknowledge it. But he was like, "Hey, you're wrong here." Like it felt kind of similar, and maybe you can put some more comparisons. But it felt like Pontius Pilate with Jesus, where it's like, this man's done nothing wrong. And Pontius Pilate was not a good guy, but people have mistaken him for being a good guy. So maybe it's a similar analogy. Yeah. James, who can't hide his poker face. Maybe it's a similar analogy to where like Puyi is like that, to where he wants to, because like I guarantee if you ask Pilate, he'd say he's a good guy. Similar to if you ask Nurse Ratched, she's a good guy. Wink. But yeah. So I mean, like I didn't hate him. Like, am I wrong for not hate? Like, I didn't hate Puyi. Like, because to me, it was just he's an emperor. Like, I put him on a different category because, like, I don't think his brain, like, he's been told, yes, he was 3. Like, yes, obviously what he did was wrong with people, but like, I'd rather have him than Mao. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm going to be honest, don't you do that, James? How dare? Don't you tell me you want Mao Zedong to be your leader?
I do not want him either. What I am saying is, I still but like, he was a terrible individual. Like,
but we're basing it off of the movie. We're basing it off the movie,
James.
Can't
separate the movie from reality.
You're gonna have to. That's the whole point.
My problem.
But if you were a 3-year-old,
it's a historical picture.
If you're 3 years old, like, your brain is not developed the same, in my opinion.
Because kids are constantly going, how far can I go? Oh, there is no limit for me.
Like, Steven to this day is still scared of his dad, and he still tested his dad when he was a kid. Imagine being told no, like not being told no your entire life, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, I
and getting bowed on, like, I mean, like, it's just, I don't think none of us can comprehend it because none of us have been worshipped like that.
And then to want out of that, and then to seek it again because that was the only. It's being in a bad situation. And being comfortable in that craziness and that horrific situation. I mean, obviously you have a very well balanced family, James. Obviously, I do not. So I'm just saying that when you're a child of divorce and you've heard yelling all your life, when you go, oh, I want a relationship where someone will stab me in the middle of the night. That sounds comfortable to me. That's that. Ooh, that's a butterfly for me. Oh, he's got a knife behind his back. That's really hot. So it's what I'm saying is that he's grown up in this sort of very dysfunctional, chaotic,
Again, breastfeeding at 10 years old should be enough to.
Sorry, I don't care where you grew up or where you were raised. You do not get a pass. Like,
I think you do in this situation. It's China. It's the emperor.
No, I don't think so. Like, there was like good rulers and there were crappy rulers. Just because you're the emperor and you really didn't rule or have absolute power your entire life, he's like a shadow emperor. He's a fake emperor.
But on the grand scheme of things, he probably was not that bad of an emperor. Like people like
he didn't have a chance to rule. We wouldn't know what an emperor he was.
But I'm saying
that was just a sign off.
Well, he was ruling. He was 3. Like you said, he played around with the eunuchs, did terrible things to them. Like the difference is like, I don't know. I don't think he would have become like a dictator or become like a Nero type effect. I don't think we're at that level. But I think it's just he was never told no, and it's just something that we can't grasp, honestly.
I mean, the what is it? The concubines did tell him no, and were controlling him as a child.
Oh, so yeah,
he did have that. I'm just saying to prove my point.
The ones that stole from him?
He was told no.
The ones that stole from him and were corrupt? Gotcha.
Well, if you cut off all your stuff, you're going to do whatever you can, to get, Oh, you got that?
No. Like the women. The concubines.
The
women that controlled things from the...
Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah.
They controlled his life.
Before she died or whatever. That was a weird scene, too. I forgot about that scene where she's like randomly just croaked.
Yeah, but I was like, because like they wouldn't let him see his mother or whatever. Yeah. Like, he was controlled. And he never actually really ruled. He only had a regent.
So is he to blame, or is it the people that ruled him to blame for how he turned out?
Is it the system?
Well, I don't blame him pre-1920.
Which is it? Is it
after that? It's all on him.
Is it nature, nurture? And it's kind of interesting though, like because he was going to go to Oxford and stuff. You would think that like him getting more real life experiences would have,
Well, he played tennis.
I got to give him credit. I appreciate that he called his wife out for being addicted to opioids. I appreciate that because that's hard to do. It's hard to call somebody out on their. I
may have made those eunuchs drink a lot of ink, but you're addicted to opium, and that's horrible.
Which is another crazy thing. Like I'm very ignorant when it comes to Chinese culture and history. So I really enjoyed. I enjoyed seeing World War I and World War II from the perspective of the Chinese, sort of, not fully, but it was kind of neat to sort of just see him. Was it when he's in the theater and they're watching like the Pearl Harbor bombing and he's just like, he had no idea. Like it's also crazy to think that like there's a world where news just didn't travel that. You know what I mean? Like they didn't instantly get a tweet about it. Like it's crazy to me.
Go to the movies and see the newsreels. Today in the news. News from the front.
Yeah. So, like, what do you guys think? How do you guys think he handled going from emperor to prisoner?
James,
or peasant.
You guys go first.
I mean, I think eventually it sort of it did work out well for him. Like I said, at the very end, he seemed to have some kind of redeeming qualities. But you're right. It took a while.
Yeah.
Because he was always chasing that, that brass ring to get back to being an emperor and to rule. But then,
the only thing I'll say is I felt that he was, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I read it wrong, but I felt that he was way calmer than I would have been. I would have been losing my mind. Like, like he's been told he's the emperor his whole life, and all of a sudden he's been told to flee, basically, and these guards chase him from the tennis court. Like, to me, he handled it very well in that aspect. Maybe he didn't in real life, but I would have just been like, this is my town. Get out of my city. Like I would have been, which I guess he didn't have a choice because it's like, 100 armed guards versus him. But like, I thought that he kind of handled it, I mean, kind of graceful in that aspect, like the transition. You know what I mean? I can't speak for everything, but anyway, but that's my thoughts. I know James has got more of a stronger opinion than me and Steven.
What do you
so.
think? What do you think, James?
Okay, like yes, did he in real life he did kind of like, well, this is it. I'm kind of adjusting it, slapping the servants around, and where he was allowed to have servants with him. In the movie, you actually could see that. Um, the warden did protect him. I think he would have. What I was kind of disappointed is they didn't show him trying to be stabbed, which I thought would have been a good part of the movie.
By prisoners? Interesting. Yeah, because I wondered the prisoners, were they all like
I hated him.
I was gonna ask I didn't know if they were like Chinese people like that were like in the Forbidden City, or if they were like actually like, outside the city people that
Well, like if some of them were people that were his former servants, and
the eunuchs
he slapped around his entire life, and then this
Yeah.
is the final time you could get some prison justice. But
Yeah.
Take him with the ship.
What would have happened if he would have succeeded in, offing himself in the bathroom? You know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah, you're right.
I do
Probably
think
wouldn't have
this.
movie.
I do think this story should be told. I really do appreciate the story. I really do. I know that James didn't like it because it's not historically accurate, but I really do think it's because I may be skipping ahead, but I'm gonna go ahead and say this right now. To me, what makes a good movie is when I get like a historical movie is when it gives the viewer, makes them interested and makes them go watch movies or read up on it. And so like this week I've been watching like YouTube videos about Forbidden City, what it looks like now, and looking at Mao's glass casket. Like I've just been really fascinated with all that lately. And to me that's a hallmark of a good like historical movies. Like we did with Braveheart, where it makes you go look at other movies or other things about it.
I will say to James, to I've said it before on one of the episodes, and to James's point, when you have a movie that 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 operates so much in the opposite of truth or untruths, because it's so popular and it's such a powerful piece of entertainment or a piece of media, it becomes truth. Because especially the more we go into sight, people are just watching videos as opposed to reading books, and it will become the truth that he so much of a sadist. It will become the truth, So that's I get your point, James. It's important that we tell the truth. Everybody has to be likable. No, it doesn't have to be,
right?
But that's what we're looking for in a movie, apparently. But I think you could still have told that story of him being more to the point, showed more of his evil side, more of Johnston's evil side, and still had people like the journey and enjoy the story. But that's just me.
And we have to realize this was an autobiography, so of course he's going to leave that stuff out.
I was bored.
That's true.
I mean, like if we're going to judge it, it's an autobiography. It's not a. So it's his. I'm surprised he left the thing there about him telling the servants to drink the ink. You know what I mean? Like, so for me, it's like I was kind of surprised that. But yeah. So let's just kind of move on toward the end, like the final scene. What did you guys think about that? Were you confused at first? Like, tell me what your thoughts were on the final scene, the one with the grasshopper.
Where he sort of disappears.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of got it. I mean, I kind of got that he was, a spirit or something like that.
Yeah.
It was a little bizarre at first, but I kind of got it. I really liked the grasshopper or the cricket coming out.
It's a grasshopper, isn't it?
I think it's a cricket.
I mean, it's green. I've never seen a green cricket. Crickets are black where I'm from.
It's Jiminy.
Is it a cricket or a grasshopper?
I mean, I think they say cricket, but I think it looks like a grasshopper because it's green. Like, to me, that's a grasshopper.
It's not easy.
I think they're in the same family. Like, no, Stephen, I agree. I think it was simple. I agree with you. I like, and I think it fits because, Asian cultures are very big on spirits and, that kind of thing. So I think it really just kind of tied it all in. I agree. James, any thoughts on that final scene?
I actually do like how it ended with the grasshopper. It was like kind of coming full circle.
Yeah.
Or a cricket or whatever this animal is called.
They're praying.
He actually He did actually go back to the Forbidden City. He got a ticket, went in, and he was literally telling anyone that would listen to him, "This is where I used to be, and this is what I used to do." So it's like that really happened, and I did appreciate that.
It's like the meme where it's like, I used to be here. Sure, Grandpa, let's get you back to the nursing home.
Yeah.
Sure.
Pretty much.
Sure,
Exactly.
Grandpa.
That's lovely. Security over here, please.
What does it say that the last two movies we've done, the endings has them going back home? I think there's a meaning for that. I'll let our viewers decide on that. But Nomadland, Fern, and now Puyi. I mean, they were both emperors of their own small forbidden city,
I would agree with you there.
and they both pooped in a bucket because there wasn't running water in 1903.
Puyi.
Yeah, they both had a poo in it. Okay, so then I kind of want to break this up. Should it have one and two separate categories? Because let's first, should it have one based off the four other movies that were nominated, and then we can get into the ones that weren't. So I know Steven's going to have a soft spot for a certain movie in this list.
Let me see what you think it's going to be.
What's it? Moonstruck, because it got Cher in it.
Oh.
Like if you're a homosexual, you have to love. Anyway, so just for IMDb record, The Last Emperor got a 7.7. Broadcast News got a 7.3.
Right. Movie.
Fatal Attraction, which I thought would be higher, got a 6.9.
Yeah.
Hope and Glory got a 7.3, and then Moonstruck got a 7.2. So just off those five movies alone, I think there were better movies that year, but just off those five movies, do we think that the Oscar got it right in these five movies?
Y'all go first.
Yes. Well, to be fair, I've only seen Fatal Attraction out of those movies, so because 80s are a soft spot for me, like I don't see them. But like the ambition of this movie, even though I have a lot of issues with it, them able to film like they were able to film, I think yes, it should have won.
I agree, and open up the world to open the world to China, because China hadn't even been that open to the world that much as far as the world stage. Obviously, it was it was like the past 100 years, but still, like I think it just kind of opened up their eyes, and even today it's still working because it made me look up the Forbidden City and like watch videos on it, and I mean to me that's I agree. I think it should have won. Yes, Steven?
As a movie that is iconic in what it did in the society, I would say Fatal Attraction. As a movie period, to be a great movie that is just a great story with incredible acting and except for Nicolas Cage, I would say Moonstruck. I would go with Moonstruck. I mean, why Nicolas Cage can't?
See, I was right.
Is beyond me. Snap out of out.
I guessed it right. No, I was really shocked that Fatal Attraction was the lowest ranking on this list. Because
one of those
I've heard of it more than I've heard of The Last Emperor. So it's like one of those weird things.
If they had kept the original ending for Fatal Attraction, it would have been Best Picture, period. But because it was changed, and you can tell if you're paying attention, you can tell, like right before the end, you're like, wait a minute, but the theme of this movie just completely changed. What the heck's going on?
Yeah, because you just told me like, hey, there's a movie that's got Michael Douglas and Glenn Close in it. I'm just gonna instantly probably say it probably won. It's just kind of interesting.
Not going to be ignored, Dan. I mean, it's just such a good movie. Not for bunnies. If you're a rabbit, you're not going to like it. But if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about.
Okay,
but like the other movies that came out, Wall Street.
Well, that's
The Untouchables.
Hang on, Jacket. Hang on, Steven. Let me get there. So now let's move on to the movies that were not nominated, that should have been, or that were in contention. Okay, so now my next question is what would you guys have chosen had it not been for so like what would you guys choose to win this year?
Throw Mama from the Train. I think that would be, just kidding. I wouldn't change my picks, but they were one of my favorite films of all time, Morris, a Merchant Ivory film that nobody has seen, that is just an incredible, a gay love story before gay love stories were being told. It's just a beautiful, beautiful film. Witches of Eastwick is a really fun one. Dirty Dancing, fun. Full Metal Jacket, The Untouchables, But
Is Dirty Dancing 87 or 88?
Well, it was nominated here.
It was okay. So they said
No.
okay. I didn't know if it was 87 or 88. I didn't know which one it was.
So, but there were like
so you would still pick which one again? Fatal Attraction.
Either Fatal Attraction or Moonstruck. I just think they're so good. They're so good. Broadcast News is right up there too, but I would go with those two.
James?
Not Jaws the Revenge, but in all seriousness, I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of movies from that year, but like Full Metal Jacket is the one that just stands out for me. Like, and then it wasn't nominated, which is a crime. I don't know if it would have been.
Wasn't Platoon the one that won the year before? Maybe that was why. Who knows?
Could be.
No.
RoboCop. Anyone?
Raising Arizona.
Mannequin.
Spaceballs.
Redneck Zombies.
Spaceballs.
So I want to give. So James, what did you pick? Full Metal Jacket.
I would still pick. I would pick Full Metal Jacket, but I also really appreciate the Forbidden City. So
yeah. Also, apparently 3 Men and a Baby came out that year. So okay, I'm gonna pull a Steven and give a reference that no one knows. The movie that's haunted me the most from this year is a little 1987 movie called Flowers in the Attic, which I had to watch as a kid. Me and my grandmother watched it on Lifetime. I had no idea it was a horror movie. Basically, terrified me. And like, I don't have an evil stepmother, and Steven does, and that terrified me. Like, so that shouldn't win. I'm not saying that. I just gotta make a joke, but how did The Untouchables not win? I'm sorry. I know maybe this is just me being the American, but like because I am a big fan of Sean Connery, obviously, and Kevin Costner. Like you had a young Andy Garcia. You have Robert De Niro, who has played one of the best Al Capones, in my opinion, of all time. And that score, dun, and the scene, the scene at the end of the movie where they're in the train station and the baby carriage is going down the steps. God. How is that not like the only other iconic scene with stairs in it is the Slinky from Ace Ventura when he gets down to the bottom. No, I was playing.
But
how
by David Mamet, directed by Brian De Palma,
it wasn't even nominated. Like, I don't understand. Maybe it came out too late, or maybe it came because I don't know. Like, it
released in June. That may be it.
That's probably why. Yeah, it was forgotten.
Stupid Oscars.
Like, I love Kevin Costner. He's one of my favorite actors, and so like for him to be in this movie, and also Al Capone is actually one of my most favorite historical figure, which is kind of ironic because we're all in Chicago. But I'll go with that. Sorry, I'm being long winded. I'll go with The Untouchables is what I think would have won.
Yeah, I mean, why was it even in the top 5? I just do not get it.
Yeah, but I'm okay with what won because of the cultural significance and of all the things.
And you watch The Untouchables, and you could see Chicago over at like LaSalle Street, the Chicago Cultural Center.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Station, so much of it's there, which is great.
All right, y'all. Any final thoughts on this movie before we move on to our next movie?
Cher, y'all. Cher, she won the Oscar this year.
So should Cher have been The Last Emperor? Is that what we're saying?
That's the movie I want to see.
Could you imagine like her having like all the units doing like a number 5, 6, 7, 8?
What am I supposed to do?
If I could turn back time,
I would date a fetus. Okay.
I love it. All right, so then next week, guys, we're gonna do something a little bit differently with it being the summer. We're gonna change it up a little bit and do what we've kind of called like the superhero summer series. It may be once every month or once every week or so. Obviously, we're in the middle of July, so not much more of the summer, but we just kind of want to change it up a little bit. So with the popularity of the new Superman movie, we wanted to kind of go back to the original, which most people say is the best. Christopher Reeves is the best Superman. I don't have I'm gonna say yes because that's what society tells me to say, but I'll obviously let you guys know because I haven't seen this movie all the way through. So I'm interested to see that. Do you guys have any? I know Steven, you've seen. I'm sure James have too. I've only seen about half of it. Any thoughts going into it or anything like that?
I mean, it's a great. The characters are so well written. I think. I mean, just Lois Lane alone, you get that she is someone who's not just the woman that needs to be saved. She's,
Mm.
I think she starts the movie off with, they say, how many P's at rapist? One. What are you writing, Miss Lane? An ode to spring. I mean, that's a great introduction to a character, quite frankly. And the way that Christopher Reeve describes his performance is by saying, how do you pay to play Superman? And he said, it's there in the script. Lois says, who are you? And he says, a friend.
Mm.
That's it. That's who he played, and it's a bright. Superman should always be bright.
Yeah.
It's blue and red, and he should be good, and it should be brightly lit, and it should be fun, and it should be uplifting, as opposed to, flicking someone's neck. As opposed
Yeah.
to
No, I agree completely.
so, but that it's so well done, and it could have gone wrong in so many ways.
What about you, James?
I'm excited to see it because I haven't seen the original Superman in a very long time and see what it like versus the new Superman. Kind of curious to see.
My memory or my understanding of Christopher Reeves really comes from the TV show Smallville. He makes an appearance a few episodes in Smallville before he passes away. He's essentially he portrays a professor of like ancient languages. And the guy who plays Clark, Tom Welling, he hears Jor-El talk, and he sees like essentially a YouTube video on him before YouTube was a thing about the guy talking about and showing the symbols like in the background. So he goes and visits him, and it's really cool because he knew who, like the Christopher Reeve's character knows he's Superman, and keeps the secret. And really touching at the very end of the episode. They obviously have like a out of character. They're both talking, and Christopher Reeve's in a wheelchair, obviously, and they talk about giving obviously like donating to help to cure like people paralyzed or whatever. And so it was just a really touching moment. Like, and I've listened to podcasts with Tom Welling later in life, and he talks about just that small interaction with him has changed his life forever. And I've heard that from other people about Christopher Reeves. So I'm really excited to go from Puyi to Christopher Reeves. I think we're really we're going from poo in a bucket to Puyi to Christopher to me. But yeah, so anyway,
and you get some disco villains in this. They're wearing those black, with like the kneel before Zod.
I will say I can't wait to see the I know people laugh at the special effects whenever, maybe it's the second one, I think it's the first one, where he's like sprinting by the bus or whatever, or maybe he's flying by the bus, and the special effects are hilarious there. So I can't wait to see that. So we can see that. It's so funny. But anyways, guys, I promise we will get back on. We just want to kind of change it a little bit with it being the summer. Obviously, if you have any questions, let us know in the comments below. Let us know if your thoughts, if you don't like it, whatever. Also, be sure to give us your opinion on the movie as well. Let us know for Last Emperor if you made it this far. Give us a like, comment, subscribe. Fellas, any final thoughts before we sign off for the night?
Puyi, poo you. No, I thought it was. I don't think I'll ever see it again, but it was.
Oh, Austin Powers should have made that joke. Puyi.
I will just fast forward. I will just fast forward to see the Forbidden Palace, and that's about it.
There you go.
And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Chicago Cinephiles podcast. As always, we thank you for your time, and until next time, signing off.
Bye.